And we're back with our very special guest, the Honourable Peter Bethlenfalvy. He is Ontario's Finance Minister and the Member of Provincial Parliament for Pickering Uxbridge. Peter, I had to cut you off there, but it's an important point about this $200 rebate for taxpayers. So go over that for our audience so they understand what you're up to here.
Sure. And first off, our revenues are higher, our tax revenues, and because fundamentally we believe putting money back into people's pockets makes sense. So what we're doing here is a $200 taxpayer rebate for every tax filer and a child under 18 in Ontario. And why are we doing it now in that mechanism? Because the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, the cost of housing, all these things are high. We've got an affordability crisis here in Canada caused by high inflation. And we've been combating that since we started to see that. We've been combating high costs since day one. And this is another mechanism not to provide relief down the road, 18 months from now, or maybe when we finally do get the budget completely balanced, which will be in about a couple of years. Right now, when people need it most. And that's what we've heard. Abacus in their polling said 72% of Ontarians back this approach. And I can understand that because other studies have shown that almost 50% of Ontarians are $200 away from not being able to meet their bills. So fundamentally, our government believes that we've got to help people out when they need help, and that's why we're doing this.
When can people expect that?
Early in the new year. We're working overtime around the clock so we can, getting 15 million checks out the door is not an easy task. We're working around the clock so we can provide that relief because we know that costs remain stubbornly high. People might say, hey, inflation's 2%. Yeah, but food prices are up like 20, 30% over the last 4 years. You got a much higher cost when I was buying eggs the other day. I mean, you always do. All of us take a second look at the cost of just about everything. So we're providing timely relief when people need it most.
I just want to shift gears. Obviously, I've got you on the program at a propitious time. We have a new U.S. administration in a couple of months, President Trump and his team. How do you think your government with Premier Ford is going to deal with some of the challenges associated with that?
One of the reasons that I love working with Doug Ford is, he doesn't wait for a crisis. He's been working tirelessly for the whole time of our 6.5 years in office almost to build relationships with governors, with state legislatures, with, counterparts down in the U.S. And because of the importance of the two-way trade, it's about $500 billion two-way. It's about even. That's very different than the big deficits that the U.S. has with China and other countries. 9 million people in the U.S. wake up every day to go to work to provide goods that ship into Canada. So there's jobs on both sides of the borders. We're the number 1 or 2 trading partner with some 28 states, over half of the states in the U.S. So this is a vital interest on both sides of the border. So working those relationships, making sure that we continue to have the dialogue about the trade, the two-way trade that we do. Call it a charm offensive. It didn't start overnight, started many years ago. And of course, Ontario is the economic heartbeat of Canada, and we're a big trading partner. So we're playing a leadership role on the national stage in this regard.
Yeah, and obviously, one of the things I'm sure you're watching very closely is President-elect Trump's rolling out of new tariffs and how that will impact on Ontario. So, can you give us your thought process on how to deal with that?
Well, it just goes back to what I said. Keep those conversations going. The Premier's got a good relationship with Bob Lighthizer, and the various officials. And at multiple levels. We've got people boots on the ground in San Francisco, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Washington. We've signed a memorandum of understanding with numerous governors. We just signed 5 in the last couple of 6 months or so with Michigan, with New Jersey, with Illinois, Nevada, Maryland. So, a lot of states there where the two-way interests are there. And, we don't know what's around the corner. You don't know for sure. But these relationships, this trading history, the track record, we've been through it before. Through the first administration, through Trump, we were there negotiating along with the federal government, playing a strong support role, and we'll continue to do that.
Very interesting. And indeed, after the break, I want to talk about a couple of specific policy items that Premier Ford, and I'm sure you agree, have put on the stage to discuss with the US. Very interesting points of view, but I want to give you full chance to explain that to our audience. We're going to take our commercial break now. We'll be back with our guest, the Honorable Peter Bethlenfalvy, Ontario's Finance Minister, after these messages.